2020 sucked. 2021
bullshit.
So 2022 can't be any worse, right? Ah, fuck. Go back. Hello and welcome to what is hopefully the first of many APAC PUBG Pro rundowns with me, Saga_UK. And as you may have noticed, yes, it has been a pretty slow and depressing start to 2022 so far, with these delicious boys out of the picture. And yes, it is a bit of a coincidence that this isn't the first time that I have bought merch from an OCE organization that has disbanded before it has arrived. Shout out to Ferox. But for those of you who haven't been able to catch up with all the action in APAC, we're going to give you a rundown of not only who's out of the game and who's moving to different regions and betraying their bloodline, but everything else that has been happening within the APAC space for the month of January and hopefully beyond. So strap in, because there's a lot to get through. And of course, we are going to start with something very, very close to home. Yes, the departure of Fury from the OCE PUBG scene. It's something that had been rumored somewhat for a few days leading up, but following PGC, the boys did end up disbanding, and there was a few talks about where exactly everyone would end up going. Waikakamukau was rumored to be moving to NA, which was maybe somewhat confirmed with a post on his own private Discord server, and then more so by some sleuthing on the internet on the competitive PUBG subreddit, which had spotted Waikakamukau in scrims alongside the boys of Gas Cans. Suspicions which were somewhat confirmed by the clip of Uncivil mentioning that Waikakamukau was trialing for them.
Today's with the trial, you said?
Well, yeah.
Oh, it's Waikakamukau, yeah.
It's certainly no secret that some of the best fraggers in OCE do end up looking overseas for greener pastures, but Waikakamukau would not be the only member of the PGC Fury squad looking to make the move. As in the very same Reddit thread, Flood was pointed out to be playing alongside Yahoo, the previous players who made up the Oath PGC roster, who were dropped at just before Christmas just a few weeks prior. So with half of the squad seemingly looking to make the move to North America and try their luck there, it only made sense to try and figure out where everyone else was going. So I reached out to Ronan and the results were disappointing. So with two players looking to make the move to North America and one heading for retirement, all eyes were on Jesse Insight Spencer to see what he would be up to. And fear not, OCE gamers, because he's sticking around. He's making the move to join Team Bliss alongside Monty and Bryn of the original lineup, and bringing along some big name firepower in Linksy as well, who has previously played under Atletico, Raise Your Edge, and even a brief stint playing for Duel in North American PCS3. Fortunately, the departure of Fury is not the only news to come out of OCE this month, as the 101 PUBG event, a two-part series put together by Easy Kill, has been underway throughout the month of January with some very, very interesting results.
Nice and slow. Last year, oh, that frag was unfortunate. Parkman picks him up. Well, Rabbits, the first win of the night, first win of the competition.
And it would prove to not be their last as well, as the Rabid Rabbits, a pickup team led by Waikakamukau, Nikus and Heikeman, all absolutely dominated the first part of the 101 event.
On the rock, super close to me. Got him on the rock next to me. Got him. Last guy up top. In the smoke.
Right. One side.
Nice, clean.
Our comms are so chaotic.
Chaotic as the comms might have been, it was still enough for them to pick up a convincing victory in the first part of the 101 PUBG event, with all 4 members of the squad being in the top 5 for kills overall. Or close enough. Rabid Rabbits took a convincing first place with a 50-point gap above VIP in second place, which is a respectable enough result, but it wasn't enough to stop them from getting 1v4'd by Jeff.
Greg's last, he's resing southwest on Taz.
A couple of weeks later, in the second part of the 101 PUBG event, it's Odium who find their way to the podium in first place, taking the win with a pretty tasty 1v4 from Speedy K.
Knocks him out, it's just Speedy. Speedy's left now. 3-man bandits versus 1-man Speedy. Catches him out in the open. He misses down. Lester's on his hill. Gets him down. It's just tasting nachos. Speedy trying to get the work done. Speedy does it. He clutches anyway. He picks out all 4 from Bandits.
A 1v4 that they quickly celebrated by running it down.
Taken on Mirage, but Mirage also has a shotgun, but he's caught out. Over under, not doing the work. It doesn't work if you don't shoot the enemy. Nikita, Gento, they pulled up and practices, but white kick it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
That is so upsetting.
Turns out you can take the Barrel Busters out of Bikini Bottom, but you can't take the Bikini Bottom out of the Barrel Busters. So that's it for all the OCE only tournaments, but that's not all for all of the OCE teams, because Liberation Esports was operating the Mongolian National PUBG League, which featured an unfortunately placed sponsor logo and a couple of casters who just seemed really happy to be there, as well as a few top squads from the APAC region. Team Bliss, who we should point out in this tournament was not using their most current up-to-date roster, got off to a bit of a rocky start, but made a bit of a resurgence in the final couple of days with wins in game 17, 18, and completing the three-peat with game 19. Securing them a solid second place in the tournament. However, it wouldn't be enough to dethrone the Expendables of Vietnam, who took a fairly convincing first place by the end of the tournament. And while we're on the topic of Vietnam, there's plenty to talk about there as well. First of all, the departure of Game Home Hadong, dropping their PUBG roster and backing away from the scene, which was almost immediately followed by New Generation Esports announcing 3 players on the same day. Obviously, there was a lot of speculation there. The champions of PCS5 APAC BN United have been spotted in Korean scrims using Pika of XSGD and a couple of X'd out named test players. XXX has been suggested could potentially be NBK, previously of DXG and Team Number 1, but to be honest, I didn't really want to stick around too long to find out, just thanks to the fact that the games were being streamed by the man with the world's worst microphone. Finally, Icarus Cyber is looking to put together somewhat of a Vietnamese super team, picking up players the likes of JEnd, Y8, and FAP. Yes, I'm serious. The 4th slot is still a little bit of a question mark, some speculation that it could potentially be Sapao to fill that role, but we'll have to wait for the announcement to find out. But that's enough boring roster changes, let's have a look at some of the tournaments that took place in Vietnam over the Christmas and New Year period. That's right, the Predator League Game of Troll series, which brought incredible technical production and just a general sense of just sort of fucking about. But the fun didn't stop there, because the Game of Troll series featured every second game having special rules, such as barrels and AKs, sniper rifles and pistols only, and headshots only. Say what you like about Vietnamese PUBG, but you can't deny that they're serious about their...
cạnh tranh toàn vẹn.
memes. Of course, take the results of the Game of Troll series with a pinch of salt, but half of the games were played using a standard super rule set, so things may be looking a little bit better for the likes of Unicorn Phoenix, the Expendables, and Cerberus, with a big gap at the top 3. Thankfully though, the people at Predator came to their senses and put on a second tournament later on in the month of January, which was a much more... Alright, fuck this. What's Thailand doing? Yes, we had a return to normalcy with FPS Thailand bringing back their monthly Leo event in January, and this time around there was a brand new addition to the talent roster. Sawadee-krab. Hello, it's me. That's right, I was covering the games in English on my Twitch channel, which you should probably go and follow because I'm hopefully going to be doing a lot more of that this year as well. We started the spiciness off early in the round of 32 of the Open qualifiers where several teams weren't able to compete at the level they were hoping to. Armory Gaming took an early exit from Group 1 alongside the Expendables, and in the second group, which was generally considered to be the harder of the two, which, I mean, just look at the bottom three. It wasn't bad news for everybody though, as Made in Thailand had an incredible start to the event, with both their main team picking up the first win of the game with a stupid amount of kills, but not to be outdone, Made in Thailand Academy walk away with 2 wins of the 4 games played on day number 1 and end the day in first place.
อ้าวแล้วลาเต้ไปเปิดไดโน่ได้กึ่งคนเหลือพาวิ่งคนเดียวครับแบบนี้มิดอะคาเดมี่อยู่ในกำมือเรียบร้อย MI
Unfortunately for Myth, things weren't going to be as one-sided as they first appeared, as in day 3 and 4. There was a bit of a comeback from Full Sense, with Jay Sparker leading the way with some absolutely disgusting DMR plays.
เอ้าแล้วดูฮะเจสปาร์เกอร์ดับเบิลน็อกเลยครับใส่เดย์เทรดคือมันโล่งอย่างที่บอกไปครับมุมที่ยิงได้ดีที่สุดในมุมเดียวคือนี่นะครับ
which eventually led to him being crowned as the man of the day. Twice. In no small part due to the back-to-back wins on a wrangle they picked up on day 4.
90%เป็นของฟูเซนไปแล้ว
ระเบิดเวลาพี่แจ็คสปาร์เกอร์สเปย์หายพี่จอร์ดโอ้ยชาร์เปอร์จบ3ฟูเซนรันนับจริงๆ13คิวเดินบนเดินบี้ขยี้ออกไปนอกวงยังไงจังหวะนี้นิวโบนและเรียบร้อยเป็นทางด้านของฟูเซน15
วันนี้จะกลับมาหรือเปล่าส่วนฟูเซนที่เพิ่งจะออนไฟล์จัดมาจากเมื่อวานนี้จะได้อีกไก่ไหมวันนี้เพิ่งจะได้ไปด้วยแล้วลาเต้ไหลน็อกกับรูโซนแบบนี้ค่อนข้างที่จะสุ่มเสี่ยงสำหรับทางของมิดเอค่ะ
เห็นหรือเปล่าฮะเห็นหรือเปล่าอาซิมอฟเห็นหรือเปล่าไม่เสียจะเป๋ใส่มาแต่ถ้าอเล็กลงไปแล้วเหลือที่กระโดดมาทามมิ่งมันเสียมาฟูเซนดับเบิลแชมป์เลยครับผมตามมาทางของเมจิกไป7คิว
But as impressive as it was, they couldn't really argue that they were the only team to dominate in day 4, as Magic Esport also got the back-to-back victories earlier in the day on Miramar.
เสียคูรูเซียโอโลงครับผมแม่ชิซิ่งกับแต่หน้าของคูรูเซียน็อกไปยังไงต่อแกจะเปิดน็อกได้หรือเปล่าชิซิ่งไม่ได้ดับเบิลน็อกโอ้โหล่างทองชิซิ่งฝั่งวันนี้ดับเบิลน็อกไปแล้วแต่ยังมาแต่น็อกคนเดียวตัดเอาวันคนเดียวได้1ก่อนไหมได้1ก่อนแต่สายไม่ไหวชิซิ่งปิดงานแล้วเดทเดินแล้วแบบนี้พี่ขวารออยู่เพชรเด็ดหลังสมองจางเนตมาย่อยๆเพชรเด็ดแต่หน้าของเลนจะลงไปเลยแค่คนเดียวมาหนูลินนะยังไงไม่ไหวเมจิกดับเบิลแชมป์เลยครับผม
Unfortunately, it didn't stop the final day push from Didier.
ขวาก็โดนยิงสโมกหนาจัดตรงนี้รับลินเปิดน็อกฟุกี้ไปแล้วธนดลครับสวนควีนดี้มาสเปซเปกดไปมาจนได้
And Day Trade Gaming picking up not only one,
เรียบร้อยฮะแบบนี้ไม่น่ารอด4-1เดือดไซเลนคนเดียวครับเดย์เทรดแกปิดเกมได้โหดเหี้ยมจริงๆครับโหแล้วเจ็บหนักครับไซเลนโดนแบบนี้จบเลยครับผม
but 2 wins thanks to Norins in the 1 versus 1.
12 คิวของเดย์เทรดเกมมิ่งครับโอ้โหแล้วดูลินบอกว่าเอาใจเย็นๆไว้รีเซ็ตกันใหม่ใจเย็นๆคราวนี้เปลี่ยนมุมฮะออกมาทางซ้ายบ้างนี่เรียบร้อยรอบนี้ไม่พลาดนะหนูรินปิดไปครับ13คิวเดย์เทรด
to secure themselves the top spot. Lucky for us, this wasn't the only tournament in Thailand going on during January, as the Aricat PUBG Show League made its comeback as well. Several of the teams who missed out or maybe just underperformed in the Leo January tournament turned their fortunes around here, and it started off with Magic picking up 3 wins in the first 5 games of the event. But as it so often tends to do, the early start slipped away from Magic as Infinity picked up their second, third,
นี่ฮะพุ่งไปทางการคำครับธนาวัฒน์สังเปิดน็อกทางโอปอแต่โดนขวาจากฟิกเกอร์แมนเปิดน็อกไปด้วยเหมือนกันแล้วดับเบิลน็อกเอ็กซ์คูลูเซียต่อแล้วปิดงานได้เลยครับโอ้โหดีอินฟินิตี้
fourth,
ไอบาสขอกดไปหลังต้นไม้ตรงนี้ไม่น่าจะพลาดแล้วเรียบร้อยครับแชมป์ไม่ได้เกม12
and fifth. win
แล้ว
of the
เห็น
event.
ก่อนแล้วยิงกดไปแล้วแบบนี้เอาละเลสเจ็บหนัก
And they weren't
แล้ว
even done,
เรียบร้อย
picking up 6 before the event was finished, ending just 10 points clear of day trade, which is pretty solid considering the difference in the amount of wins, but both teams a solid 40 points clear of 3rd place after 5 days. Made in Thailand weren't able to find success here, struggling down in 10th position, Buriram only picking up the single win across the entirety of the event.
มา31ดาเมจแล้วสเปรย์มาเรียบร้อยครับเป็นเทพแมวครับปิดให้บุรีรัมย์ยูไนเต็ด
So it was a pretty busy January for Thailand, but thankfully they get to have a little bit of a rest, right? Wrong. As during the time while I was editing this, FPS Thailand announced their next event, the Logitech Pro Invitational, which starts on the 1st of February. As for the rest of Southeast Asia, Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, well, I wasn't able to find anything. I tried to get in contact with a couple of players, but nobody got back to me. Sad. It seems as though most of these regions are a little bit too focused on the SEA Sausage Man Championships. And to be honest, who can blame them?
Fire still alive somehow. We don't get it just right, but oh my god! The RPG just taking out Blacklist!
Hype. So it looks as though that's everything for this monthly rundown of PUBG APAC for January of 2022. I'm hoping to make this sort of a monthly thing so everyone has a chance to catch up with everything that's been going on, but it's always better to catch up in the moment. So please do check out the channels linked below, and of course mine if you're interested to see some English coverage of some of these events mentioned and those coming up in the next few months. Thank you again for sticking around to watch, and subscribe if you're interested in seeing a rundown for next month. Until then, see ya.